Gaining Vision, I'm Melanie. Thanks so much for clicking. To my returning family, the Visionaries, thank you for your continuous love and support. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Please feel at home. Have you had an opportunity to subscribe to the channel yet? If not, take a second, hit subscribe, and please don't forget to like and share. This week commemorates the 112th anniversary of the ANC party here in South Africa. But instead of focusing on the celebrations, the milestone, and preparing for the elections, everybody's been focused on what the Secretary General had to say in one of his addresses, where he dropped a bombshell, where he spoke about how the ANC covered up for the former President Zuma, talking about the swimming pool being a fire pool. This caused a lot of turmoil in the ANC party as well as amongst South Africans. And I'm reminded of what Julius Malema once said about the Secretary General, how he loves to talk and talk and talk and doesn't think about the impact it's having. He mentioned how the Secretary General had been ruining and destroying the office of the Secretary General. I've put together some clips for us to analyze together of Julius Malema, the Secretary General, and his bombshell, as well as the investigator of the initial fire pool investigation, as well as the national chair. Let's take a listen and come back and analyze together.
The Secretary General of the ANC demonstrated the lowest level the ANC has ever been. The lowest level where the ANC has never been at this lowest level, both in thinking and in character. There's nothing comparable, for instance, between Mbalula and Julius Malema. I just gave you an example of the best the ANC has ever produced. We don't agree with Julius on issues, but you can't take it away that he's a thinker. We don't agree with his politics. Now, the Secretary General of the ANC is the highest level of the degeneration of the ANC. It can no longer be beyond this. This is the last level. Where have you ever seen Kgalema Motlanthe doing that? One of the people who occupied that position. You know, when Kgalema Motlanthe spoke after the NEC, some of us were not married. Half the time after activities of the organization during the day, at night were at social places. And then someone says the SG is speaking later today at 7 or now. The SG speaking now, and we're busy dancing, and all of the music will be shut down to listen to the Secretary General of the ANC. Oh, the Secretary General of the ANC spoke when it mattered. Not this thing of speaking every time you go to toilet, when you come back constipated, you want to say something. No. That is demonstration of the degeneration the ANC has ever experienced. Why? Because there are no longer veterans there who can say to him, but iyakela into yakho. Ima Mbalula ima. No, there's no longer anyone. Ramaphosa is excited because he thinks it's his personal defense, but he doesn't see that this is actually destroying the office of Secretary General, who wants to create some non-existing beef. Someone sent me a picture of me with the EFF logo, and then I put it there. I wrote Action Killer Man. Go and see what he put today. A picture of himself. He went to take a picture of himself, did exactly what I did. So he took that thing literally, and he can't think. And he even says to me, yeah, when you attack the ANC, you are attacking me. I'm the ANC. You are not the ANC. You are nothing. Who are you?
Julius, you can find fault of him in many things, but at least he's not fake. He can tell you things that he doesn't like. He attacks me a lot. He tells me what I don't like sometimes. People don't know. He used to tell me these things when we were still in the youth league and great buddies and friends. I mean, tight like nobody's business. He will tell me things that he will drop things to me, and my ears and my mind will not basically be ready to take it. I mean, Julius is one person who said Max is no longer taking politics seriously. He's in this sports thing, he's a celebrity, he's competing with celebrities. He's no longer a politician. I think this man is demoralized. And then when I went to the police, and then he said, let's see what he can do. But in his book, he said that at that time. So who will ever say something like that about you personally, except Malema, you know? I've learned to listen to him in a measured way, and then not to respond to everything he says, and then absorb it and look at myself in the mirror and say, isn't it true? Maybe the perception is growing that I no longer take politics seriously. I'm not the Fikile Mbalula who people know in the ANC and activist, not a rabble-rouser, but somebody who's very clear about where he stands about issues. You better be guillotined in life for having said something, you know, rather than where people don't know what you stand for. They just look at you all the time. You agree with this one, you agree with this one. You don't have a view. And I'm that kind of a person that I formulate a view and I articulate it and so on. But Julius, to me, is not fake or plastic. I think he's that kind of guy who tells you things, whether you like it or agree with him, he will put it out there. In defense of our president, we went to Parliament and opened an ad hoc committee and said a swimming pool is a fire pool. Yeah, when you swimming pool, they know that. Sayichincha sathi fire pool. Uminister of Police ebile khophe engaselanga tywala ubona ukuthi lento ubuphoki kunzima uexplain ubuphoki kaloku. People have lost their careers because of that thing. Yaye constitutional court. Yathi sivota in two weeks time. Wabuya umkhwenu get judgment enjani. Wabetha upresident wethu wathi is not fit for office. Samnyameze.
Ngeke ngivumelana nawe. Lesi simo okhuluma ngaso ngeke usakwazi ukusithakatha ngisho ngabe ukuthi unomuntu ongakanani ngeke. I-science lesibhekene nayo eniyasehlula. Into eyenza ukuthi sehlule kakhulu largely two things. One, the absence of strategic thinking at leadership level, to manage our situations from a tactical point of view. Secondly, the approach engekho matured you responder my issues njengala. You convinced manje, and I don't like to talk about these things, but in full detail. But all I can say is that in the ANC, if it's no Secretary General the worst of its kind ever in the 112-year-old liberation movement, you see, you can't kuluma before it just can't happen that way. Just can't happen that way. In fact, it's a typical behavior of you can't have umuntu on a leadership responsibility but then behave ngalendlela akwazi ukubehave. It just can't. I mean, it's making it worse. I mean, let me give you some technical loopholes asewavulile manje. Uma ethi ngangihamba manga ngalento kufanele akhiphe umuntu in the then from the then leadership of regularly on these issues in the context of a political committee, for an example. Who actually gave me an instruction to lie on behalf of the ANC? If I feel like I'm keep low mood, then he had the foot to sinking in. What can I do? In any case, let me just put you comrades at rest. Also discover what he because there was no such. In fact, the investigation that I ran was a scientific investigation backed up with all relevant documentation and so forth by different experts in the field of engineering and construction work and security work, as well as cultural experts and so forth. So, uma uthi ngaqamba manga ufuna ukuprove wena ungicounte ngento ethi here is proof yokuthi whatever I said was not true. Now, up until this point, akekho umuntu ohluleka okwazi ukwenza lokho precisely because akekho umuntu onama-facts at hands, but I do have the facts at hands. Even those that threatened to go to, they wanted to go to court, they did not take me to court, Ngalento, because they knew the facts were just simply just there, all of them. So, I don't know, comrades. So, ngiyakho ngisho ukuthi hey mgenge, ushoda umthakathi la, akasekho umthakathi ongadila nalento. Angazi so kwenze njani bafuthi. The honest fact is uNkulunkulu usidunusele. That's the honest fact. How do we deal with that? How do we manage that? I don't know, seriously. But we have quite a serious thing. I've never seen something like this. I mean, never really seen something. From the 16th of December to now, we were expecting leadership here to provide leadership and guidance with how do we deal with this circumstance.
National Chair, last one to you. Have you spoken with your Secretary General Fikile Mbalula with those revelations he made about the fire pool, about Nkandla, and former President Jacob Zuma, which some have perceived as him decampaigning his own party?
I don't know if those were revelations. I think I listened very carefully to what he said as Secretary General. He's my Secretary General. I thought he was carried away by yourselves, guys. He saw your cameras, he got taken away, and he said things he should not have said. To me, it's an issue that we will have to deal with it internally, that when you lead, you count every word you say. If you don't, you catch fire. And I think something that you learn in the trade. As you grow in the trade, you understand that better. You can say things that you are saying without being excited, but say things and explain things very well. For example, let me give you an example. He talked about a water pool, a fire pool. And I reminded comrades that we went to Nkandla. We saw that swimming pool. We came out, ambushed us and asked, what did you see? We told journalists, this is a swimming pool, but because there's a lot of water, in case of fire, it can be used as a fire pool. We closed the case. Because it's a swimming pool with a lot of water. In case of fire, you can use that water as a fire pool. So that closed the case. I don't know why do you reopen that today. I can't understand it.
But are you not worried that it's becoming a trend with your Secretary General for him just to blurt out things, not have speaking notes? When he goes to manifesto reviews, he doesn't speak about what you've done in government, but he speaks about internal dynamics and people's names. For instance, what he spoke about in KwaZulu-Natal in the manifesto review.
I know that growing into a role is a painful process. And I'm a great believer that you allow God, you are going to make them commit a lot of mistakes. And a mistake, Samuel, it's like a stranger you meet in your journey to success. You know, failure is a stranger you meet in your journey to success. And every time you come across a failure, don't despair, don't give up. Appreciate that you have met this stranger, you're on your way to success. That's the same thing in playing roles. I love a Secretary General who likes talking, because that means he will go faster into the role of a Secretary General because he talks, he engages with issues. If you commit mistakes in that process, it's not the end of the story.
So thank you for having us for the second time. We're coming to you live and direct from Bombela, where we will be hosting, the 112 celebrations of the ANC. I am not going to respond to the national chair because we have established a way of doing things, which is not to talk to each other via the media. I am prepared to respond to whatever I said that have raised an alarm, both positive and negative, which is to be expected, about my address on Sunday in Mchindi. The national chair, we have protocols. I've been trying to get hold of him the whole day, but I understand we're in the field and I couldn't get hold of him. We've got protocols. We don't talk past each other. We don't talk in the media. We don't promote public spares. I'm available. I'm around. I'm open to counsel from elders and everyone to give me guidance. I'm not allergic to any criticism. So I am not, in respect of those protocols, going to be the first to break them. The national chair could have raised the issues with me if he's got concerns about what I said. But nonetheless, I can get into the issues that I raised in relation to Nkandla and the matters that I raised in the context to it.
Absolutely, and we will delve into that. Before we get there, can I just ask, do you think that the chairperson, Mr. Mandashe, was wrong to go out in the media and criticize you and should have followed internal protocols in the same way that you aren't criticizing him publicly? Because he clearly did go to the media and cast aspersions over your leadership.
He's not supposed to. So I will leave it there. He's not supposed to do what he did. I will not respond to the national chair in the media. I sit with him every Monday. He was a Secretary General himself. He did not have a smooth sailing Secretary General term. So he knows what Secretary Generals are expected and the office of the Secretary General, what is expected of it. So I live in there, Sizwe, because me and him, we meet every day. We are together here in Bombela. So I will engage with him with regard to those remarks and at the same time remind him about the protocols of the organization. There is no supreme leader in the ANC who is allowed to do as they wish and break protocols as and when it suits them. If the Secretary General has overstepped or done something that is wrong, he himself, the Secretary General, is not a demigod. He can be called to order, he can be guided, and that is what we follow. So I'm available, and I'm not going to respond to my national chairperson of the ANC through the media. And if he himself had views that he has shared with everyone else in public about me and casting aspersions on my character and leadership, he knows he should have done that to me. So I will leave it there, Sizwe.
Julius Malema called it as it is. It's true. The Secretary General definitely is destroying the office of the Secretary General because he doesn't know when to keep his mouth closed. When the Secretary General dropped his bombshell, perhaps he thought he was being clever by giving a dig to former President Zuma endorsing the MK instead, but he really opened up a can of worms that can't be shut down. The foreign investigator tried to cover up and justify what was happening back in the day. He also talked about how now what the Secretary General has done has destroyed the office of the Secretary General and has caused great trouble for the ANC party. The former Secretary General and the chairperson, the national chairperson, was trying to cover up for the Secretary General, and it made it look even worse. Trying to give him some leeway of what he actually said, but to me, I thought it did a little bit worse. But what made me laugh the most is when the Secretary General came back and was interviewed and was trying to justify and cover up for how people were talking about him in the media and how he wouldn't do that because that's not the proper protocol of the ANC. But yet he did that when he talked about former President Zuma, and of course he kept going on and on about the national chairperson. Isn't he doing that? My hope is that the Secretary General is honestly open to criticism and feedback from the elders, and that the ANC party steps forward and helps guide him to know what he can and cannot say, because he's done great damage to the ANC just by that one statement. I'm hoping that the ANC will continue to celebrate this milestone, but yet the South African people are also paying attention to what's being said. Is the ANC party really covering up for presidents? If so, does that also talk about Pala Pala? Food for thought. I'd love to hear your thoughts and ideas on this bombshell, how the Secretary General has been talking nonstop, and how Julius Malema called this a while back. Drop your thoughts below and let's have a conversation. Until next time, please don't forget to hit the notification button, like and share, and we'll see you later. Bye.